and I should say, leading us off today, Donnie Baseball joins us. Don Mattingly, Yankees great, former Major League Baseball manager, of course, now the bench coach with the Toronto Blue Jays, and an advisor for the Nashville Stars. They are the group efforting to bring Major League Baseball here to the great state of Tennessee. And Don, it's great to have you on, man. Hope things are well.
Yeah, fellas, everything's good. I appreciate you having me on. I enjoy talking about the possibility of bringing baseball to Nashville. It would be it'd be great I think for the city, for the area, and it's all set up, I think, for a win-win for everyone.
So I'm sure Dave Stewart had a big role in this, and while you're a part of the advisory group, but give us your take on why you wanted to be involved in this.
Yeah, Stu's obviously a big part in his vision for the ownership group, and the diversity in that is, I think, kind of lines up with MLB and what's going on with the game. So it's very important, and the affiliation with the Negro Leagues is a perfect tie-in. And for me, I kind of was like searching out because it felt like a great opportunity in my mind to be able to use my experience to help build something from the beginning and from scratch. And I see what goes on with the hockey in Nashville. You see what's going on with the football team. The city's growing by leaps and bounds, it seems like, daily. It's just a good fit, and I think they're just show that they're going to be successful there. And it's exciting to be a part of it.
Don Mattingly joins us on OutKick 360. How quickly do you believe Major League Baseball wants to expand?
You know, that's probably a better question for Stu. He's probably been more in touch with the commissioner, but I just know from listening and kind of keeping your ear to the ground, they do want to expand. I think they want to get Tampa, their stadium situation. I read a little bit of about that today, and then Oakland. I think they got to get those two franchises squared up, and I think everyone would like to expand and get this thing to even. To a point where you have the leagues even for the way you schedule and everything else.
And you're no stranger to the city of Nashville. You played for the Nashville Sounds. Your hometown is, 2.5, 3 hours up the road in Evansville, Indiana. So it's not like this is a city, as we see Don Mattingly, the Nashville Sound, if you're watching right now. It's not like this is a foreign city to you with the city of Nashville and now your involvement with the Stars.
No, and to watch the growth, over the years has been amazing. Just driving, through to go to spring training just from the highway is amazing. But I've had a chance to come back and talk with some of the guys that are involved with the club. My foundation that we run out of here at Evansville is always got country music involved with it. And so just, the city, it feels like home. And I think it was another attraction for me. It felt like, helping to grow the game, but also to bring it to Nashville or be a part of bringing it to Nashville was really exciting for me.
Some buzzwords in the game of baseball today, but in all of sports, advanced analytics, sabermetrics, all of these things. I want to talk a little bit about baseball when you played, baseball now, some similarities and differences. Because when I think about Don Mattingly, the first baseman and the ball player, I think of someone that played in an era where sabermetrics sort of played out in your minds. And you were looking at these things in an advanced way, but it wasn't a computer or an algorithm telling you what to do. It was experience. It was study that went on. Am I close to accurate on that with the way you played the game versus the way you coached and managed the game years later?
Yeah, I think you're close. And honestly, I think I was just on a call this morning with some of the guys from the Blue Jays, and we were talking about, in the past, when you, as a hitter, if a guy had ride or high spin or whatever, you would come back to the dugout and say, hey, this guy's a little sneaky. The ball up top kind of jumps at you. And today that would be called ride or a high spin guy. And so you kind of were using that information. It was just something that you learned by being up at the home plate, though, and then talking to other hitters about as they came back. Like, what kind of movement does Dave Stewart have on his slider? What's his split doing right that day? Or where we got to start this guy? So it's kind of using what you had to learn on the fly. The information is incredible today. And so I don't want to bash analytics and what's going on with it. Some of it, I think people get frustrated because it goes too far. When you don't see action in the game, people get frustrated when, there's too many strikeouts, not enough action in the game.
We're all about launch angle. I mean, would the emphasis on that now? I'm guessing. I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't have changed your swing, or would it have changed your swing, Don?
I don't think it would have. I started off as a line drive guy that hit for average without a lot of power. As maybe my numbers in Nashville, I think I drove in 100, hit 300, but hit 6 or 8 homers, right? So I didn't really hit the ball in the air. But I think it is important to get the ball in the air. I mean, home runs change games. A 3-run homer either puts a game away for you or gets you back in a game that you're down 5. All of a sudden, a 3-run homer and we got a ball game. So there's nothing wrong with getting the ball in the air. It's just how you would do it. And I think that's where the rub comes sometimes when they just talk about always the same swing. And I think that's where fans get frustrated, where it's like, okay, there's 2 strikes and nobody's on that side of the field. Let's put the ball in play here. And I think that's where fans get frustrated.
Is that a lost art? Was that something that hitters were more adept at doing years ago versus now? Do you see it as something that's going to be coming back into the game because of all the shifts?
I think a little bit it's going to come back to the center. To be quite honest with you, the pitching's probably better now than it ever was. The power with the pitching, it makes it harder to put a ball in play. So it's not that easy. I think the game itself has, for the last probably 10 or 15 years at the high school level, at the college level, has tried to imitate the professional game. So when you hear people talking about launch angle and get the ball in the air and don't worry about strikeouts, that's been happening for a long time. So it's going to take a little bit of time if you want to get it back to the middle and put the ball in play. And I think some of the rule changes will help that. You make some rule changes to make it easier to do that.
It's reported today that Jazz Chisholm of your previous team, the Miami Marlins, is going to move to center field. Clearly a great talent and a great athlete. Do you see him making that move seamlessly? And maybe what are some of the challenges that we may not be aware of going from second base to center field, even if you are a great athlete like he is?
Yeah, I think he can do it. Jazz is, like you said, a tremendous athlete and can probably do anything he wants to do and puts his mind to it. To say it's going to be seamless, I think, is going a little too far. This is the major league, so just being a great major league center fielder is not that easy. But some of the little nuances, I think, the communication with the right and left fielder, just dealing with the wall, things like that. Where am I going to throw the ball? I got to pre-plan things like that. But Jazz is a talent, and if he puts his mind to it, he can definitely do it.
Don Mattingly, our guest, as we lead off OutKick 360. What were the Yankees old-timers days like? And do you have a great story that always comes to mind from the legends that you were able to meet and the eras that you were able to be a part of?
Oh, they were great, quite honestly, and probably not as good today because they probably put them in a different locker room. But back in the day, Mickey Mantle would be maybe be your locker mate that day, or Yogi Berra, or Phil Rizzuto, DiMaggio. I mean, the names kind of go on and on with the Yankees. So that part is something that I kind of looked forward to that day. The one thing that was kind of funny to me, DiMaggio, when that game's going on, they announce and then all of a sudden it's over and it's like, okay, it's game time in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And so I didn't really get a chance to say hello to Joe all day long. And I finally got a chance to say hello. And I said, Mr. DiMaggio, just want to say hello, because we'd met like the winter before. And I had a 20-game hitting streak. And he jokingly said, why do you want to mess with me, kid? And I was like, and I'm like, I'm not really messing with you, Joe.
Well, I love it in sports when, being a captain still means something. In the NHL, it obviously means something. For the New York Yankees, it definitely means something. Once a captain, always a captain. What's that feeling like being captain of the New York Yankees? And knowing that's something that never really leaves you when you reach that status with that franchise?
Honestly, with that, you don't realize, I don't know if you really appreciate it until you're done playing. And then you look back and say you were one of, 10, 12, 14, however many it is at this point. So it's really something that you feel honored by later. When it happens to you, nobody really, they just kind of come to you and say, we're going to, at least that's the way they did it with me, is they come to you and say, hey, we're going to make you the captain. And I'm like, okay, no job description, no nothing with that. And you find out that it's really just about being yourself. They chose you for a reason. They felt like you had leadership qualities, or you were what they wanted the franchise to symbolize. And so it's truly an honor. But at the time, you're a little bit like, okay, what goes along with this? And you find out it's really just about being yourself and doing what you've always been doing.
Do you get tired of hearing about the Hall of Fame, reading about it, answering questions about it, or is it something that you're always fully prepared for and know that it's something you're going to talk about? I'm not even asking about the Hall of Fame. I'm just asking if you're tired about talking about the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, definitely tired of it. It's just like one of those things that, for me, like, I've played all my cards. In my mind, I know what kind of player I was. And, I know I didn't play long enough. A lot of guys played 18, 19 years. I played 12 years and retired really to make sure I raised my kids. So I probably didn't put enough time in to build the numbers. So it is something I get tired of. Do I feel like I can play with those guys in the Hall of Fame? No doubt in my mind. I feel like I never ran across really anybody that I didn't feel like I could hit. Yeah, like I believe it, but it's not my choice.
It just feels like it's in such an uncertain, awkward place, the voting and how we approach it now. Because you mentioned the length of the career. I don't even know the criteria. You mentioned guys that have lengthy careers that aren't even getting a nod because there are voters, Don, as you well know, who haven't voted in years. And I don't know why they have a vote, right? Like that's making more news than the guys actually getting to Cooperstown.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the whole honestly, I've never really tried to research the process. But I do know I've seen a lot of guys and played against guys that I feel like are Hall of Famers or great players that aren't in. A guy like Dwight Evans. I mean, this guy was a tremendous player with the Red Sox for years and didn't make it. Dale Murphy with Atlanta is a guy that I was able to see and watch him play is pretty amazing. But then you're happy about the guys that they've kind of came back and grabbed. Scott Rowland who's a guy from our area, just in Jasper, Indiana. And to me, a great player. I was so glad to see him get in. So you see it work. The process works sometimes. Maybe we don't all agree on all the time.
Getting that well-deserved nod to the Hall of Fame would certainly change your life and trajectory. Did appearing in an episode of The Simpsons change your life and trajectory at all in terms of your celebrity status when that happened?
Probably The Simpsons would change my life more than the Hall of Fame would, because you can't go anywhere without hearing about The Simpsons. We traveled to Australia with the Dodgers when I was with those guys, and I heard more about Mattingly, shave those sideburns than anything else or anything to do with my playing career. So Simpsons definitely changed people's outlook of you.
How did they approach you to be a part of that episode?
Pretty simple. And it really, people ask, how is it like to be there and do all this stuff? Like, we were all together doing the show. It was simply, they asked if we wanted to be a part of it. Agreed. Me and Steve Sachs, I remember we were both with the Yankees at the time. We had an off day. We were playing the Angels. We take a car down to LA, shoot it in about 30 minutes, and we're out of there. And so it was pretty simple and not near as glamorous as they've made it look.
Have you thought about what it would be like to manage with an owner like Steve Cohen compared to owners who sometimes just refuse to spend?
Well, I've seen it both sides, right? Obviously, I've played with the Yankees where Mr. Steinbrenner would go, try to do that. was part of the Dodgers in LA when the Guggenheim ownership came in. They did a tremendous job in building that franchise. And then in Miami, it was not quite the same. It was a little bit like we got to build this a different way, which is exciting, honestly, to be a part of that and try to build it. It is definitely a lot harder than the other way, where you have the funds to, if we need a piece or we need a player, that you can go do that. And when you like in Miami, I felt like we got to the place where it's like, hey, give us 2 or 3 more guys, and we're going to be a really good club. And we kind of went the opposite way, and that really hurt us. And that makes it a lot tougher.
Well, and then the other rosters you're going against are practically all-star rosters now. Like the way they're spending.
Yeah, the National League East is a beast, and now being in Toronto, which is really exciting with a good young club. And a great organization, that division, with Boston and the Yankees. Tampa is built differently, but they've been really successful at what they do.
How much do you miss playing?
Oh, man, are you kidding me? Getting out of bed nowadays at 60, you're like, I don't miss that. Trying to hit. And some of these guys you got to face today, I'm not sure I miss it, but I did enjoy playing a lot. And had a great time and enjoyed that part of my life. But the actual playing part, once you're done, it's like it's been pretty easy. Not easy, but it's like one of those things that's behind you and I'm moving forward.
What was your second best sport and how good were you?
I thought baseball was my second best sport, to be honest with you. I feel like I was a basketball player if I'd have been 6'5", but no, basketball probably my second best sport. Being from Indiana, we all thought we could play, and really enjoyed that. And grew up here in Southern Indiana at a time that Bird was coming through high school and things like that. So he gives that role model to watch.
And you had an older brother who played professional football, played in college, played quarterback. How was your arm with the football? We didn't get to see the arm as much at first base in baseball. How was the football throw for you growing up?
Nah, I'd say probably below average, honestly. Not quite as good as my brother, but I enjoyed playing. I didn't like getting hit that much. That wasn't really that much fun when that dude comes across the line and catches you clean. That wasn't that much fun, but I did enjoy playing.
So, and now we hope that we see MLB playing in Nashville sooner rather than later. From the advisory role, give us an idea of the questions you're being asked and how your role will help bring baseball, pro baseball, Major League Baseball to Nashville.
I'd say very similar to the questions you all ask. Why do you want to be involved? Why do you think Nashville is going to be a successful franchise? Those type of questions. And for me, again, it's been all about, I felt like just excited about at some point, hopefully bringing baseball to Nashville and being a part of a franchise or an organization that's building from the ground up. I mean, and to be working for Stu, and again, just a small part. There's so many different facets to trying to bring a major league team, from the ownership side to probably the real estate and development side is huge for franchises nowadays. If you've seen some of the new ballparks, the cities they build around them are just incredible with things for families. So that part is a different part of it. And I just love to be able to help Stu and help, in any way on the baseball side of it, to make it successful on that end.
Don Mattingly has been our guest. Thank you so much for the time and going some different directions with us here as our first chance to visit with you. Hopefully not the last. And the next time you visit Music City, be sure to stop in. We've got some moonshine or some Yeehaw beer for you.
And good luck in Toronto also.
All right. Thank you, fellas. I appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man, absolutely. There's Donnie Baseball.
Donnie Baseball.